those same systems freed me to be more creative. Process didn't make my work more boring. It made me more confident. It gave me language to use with my clients. It gave me boundaries to hold with my clients, with my trades, with my team. And it also gave my clients more trust in me.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. If you are new here, welcome. I am so excited to have you. And if you've been here for a while, welcome back. I'm really glad that you're here because today's conversation is going to be an aha moment. So this episode has been brewing in my brain for a little while, and honestly, it's one of those pull back the curtain conversations. I know you guys like to learn a little bit about behind the scenes of my business, the mistake that I've made, and what I'm seeing other designers do that is working. So if your design business is feeling a little harder than it should, maybe you are super talented, maybe you're getting clients, but you're still feeling overwhelmed, you're second guessing, or even wondering, why doesn't this feel easier by now, right? This episode's for you. So here's the big idea that I want to plant today. No interior design business is successful just because of one thing. Not talent, not Instagram, not referrals, not even great clients. I know, right? Sorry, it's not that simple. However, it doesn't have to be hard. The businesses that last, the ones that are profitable, calm, sustainable, and heck, fun to be in, those ones are built on layers. And after building my own firm, making a lot of mistakes and coaching hundreds, maybe now more than 1,000 interior designers, I can tell you with confidence that every successful interior design business is built on 4 core pillars. If you miss one of those, or you just don't pay attention to it, the whole thing is going to feel wobbly. So today, I want to walk you through those 4 pillars, share a little real-life honesty from my own journey with each one of you, and help you start to see where your business might need support. So here we go. All right, let's do it. The very first pillar is process and operations. Duh, I talk about that all the time. So let's just start here. Let's start with the unsexy one. I know you guys don't think it's sexy, even if I do. This is the one that designers like to roll their eyes at. A lot of people think like, ugh, do I need it? Process, whatever you want to call it, depending where you're from, what your accent is. I know, I get it. Everyone wants to skip this part and just get to the pretty stuff. Just design beautiful spaces. Just find the great clients. But here's the truth. Process is your foundation. Without it, everything else will feel harder than it needs to be. Early in my business, I was talented. Heck, I'm so talented. But honestly, I was such a mess behind the scenes. I had files everywhere. I was working from my home office, which wasn't even an office. It was like a spare bedroom. I had different ways of doing things on every project. I was constantly reinventing the wheel. When a client would ask me, okay, what's the next step? I literally would just pause and make it up on the spot. Like I would be thinking in my head, okay, well, maybe I should go and do the floor plans next. And then, that's what I'll do. So I'll tell them that. Yeah. So then I would say, okay, so I'm going to get back to the office and I'm going to work on these plans and come up with a few different layout options. Once I have that, I'll reach out and we can meet again. Then we can talk about the fabric. Like I kept deferring decisions till later. And the problem with that also because I was making it up as I went along, or just kind of like winging it, I was also second guessing myself. I didn't feel confident. And every project felt heavy. It was heavy because nothing was repeatable. Nothing was predictable. I used to think systems would box me in creatively. I used to think I didn't have time to write things down and follow a checklist or what have you. But it actually turns out that those same systems freed me to be more creative. Process didn't make my work more boring. It made me more confident. It gave me language to use with my clients. It gave me boundaries to hold with my clients, with my trades, with my team. And it also gave my clients more trust in me. Because when you know how you work and what's coming next, your client feels it. But here's what no one tells you. Process alone doesn't make you profitable. I know. Power of process, that framework is the one that I have coined. I have designed it. I have an incredible 7-step process. And if you ask me, I will tell you it will make you more money. But you can't build a successful business on process alone. So this is what brings me to pillar number 2. Pillar number 2 is pricing, profit, and financial clarity. It's all about the money, honey. So let me say this very plainly. You can be booked solid and still be losing money. Trust me, I know how, and I have seen it so many times in my students. There was a time in my business when I was so busy, like so freaking busy, and I was in the red. What's the red? For those who don't know, the red is an accounting term. It means, hey, listen, I didn't even know it at the time. My accountant had to come to me and say, Rebecca, you're in the red. I'm like, oh, well, I like red. What's that mean? No joke. And that's when she explained to me that it means that I have a negative profit, which is a loss. Negative profit is basically a loss. But the reality is, even though I knew that we hadn't been profitable, instead of fixing it, I avoided it. Anyone else done that? Avoid looking at your bank account, or kind of just go in there because you're like, oh God, I hope I can pay the credit card off. Or shoot, I don't know, like, oh, I don't have time to go back and look and see how much that thing was or whatever. I truly did. I never thought I was good at math, which was my own money mindset story, but I avoided looking too closely at the numbers. I avoided forecasting. I thought that was something that couldn't be done in our industry. Listen, I get it. Interior design is different. How we run business in an interior design company is very different than other businesses. And I know we like to think we're so special and unique, but there are certain aspects of what we do that, let's be quite honest, is not that special and unique. Every business needs to crunch their numbers, and every business can forecast. And forecasting is when you look at how much money am I going to make in the months ahead. I would try to sit down and forecast, and I would say to my operations manager at the time, Mara Lee, she's been on the podcast. She was a former client, and then she started helping me with business. And then she ended up working for me during just after the pandemic for a little while. And she was the one who kept trying to tell me, you have to forecast your numbers. You have to see how much money you're going to bring in. And I'm like, whoa, Mara Lee, I can't do that. You don't, obviously, you don't understand an interior design business. How many of you have thought about that before? How many of you have thought that about your accountant, your bookkeeper, someone else who gives you a business advice? I know. I thought that too. You're not alone. But the reality is, you can do it. It just takes sitting down and looking at things from a different perspective. Use a spreadsheet. Have someone guide you. You need to look at the money coming in. When is it coming? How much is going out? And I know it totally sucks. And also for many of us, money feels emotional, and confronting it can be super duper scary. But I can't even stress this enough. Everything changes when you stop second guessing and stop guessing, period, and you start looking at the numbers. When I started forecasting, when I started understanding product margins and markups, when I actually looked at which projects made money, I looked at project profitability and which ones were quietly draining me and my finances, it was an eye-opener. I did this amazing exercise where I looked back across the projects And we tracked project profitability by type. And we looked at average project size. And I realized the area that I thought we were making the most money in was not that area. Actually, we were making money in the area that I wanted to drop. This is a true story. I share this with my students. But here's the thing. Once I understood those numbers, as painful as it was to do that exercise with my team, once I understood them, I felt calm and I felt in control. And I stopped making reactive decisions like, I'm so stressed out. I think I need to hire. I'm just going to hire. I hope it works out. I hope I can afford it. I stopped underpricing my services out of fear. I knew I need to charge this because my expenses are so much. I stopped wondering if I was charging too much because I knew. And oftentimes I wasn't sure. I still wasn't charging enough. Confidence will come when you get that clarity. But even with a strong process and healthier pricing and clear understanding of your finances, something else mattered more than I expected when I was growing my firm, and that is pillar number 3. And this is the one designers love to talk about. It is marketing and client attraction. So let's talk about marketing. So I don't mean like post more reels, do a carousel post. That's not what I mean. Because marketing isn't just about being louder, it's about being clearer. One of my favorite examples of this is a project I did with my clients, Kelly and Glenn. In fact, go back and listen to episode 49 of this podcast. That's when I interview my very own clients, Kelly and Glenn Patchett. We did a renovation for them, and it's one of my favorite examples of marketing attracting the right client. They chose me before we ever spoke. They were interviewing multiple designers, and they ended up hiring me. And they didn't hire me because I was trending on Instagram or just because of my aesthetic and my design look. They hired me because they understood how I worked and they loved my process. They hired me because on my YouTube channel, yes, I had a YouTube channel. I still do. You can watch this podcast, actually. You can watch me talking with my hands on YouTube. But if you scroll back, you can even see probably some videos of their project, some reveal videos. I think I did a reveal day video, but they were following my YouTube channel. And on my YouTube channel, I talked every episode, all the time about process, about how we worked. And that built trust. And so I'm not saying you need to have a YouTube channel, but think about how you are showing up. They had heard me talk about process, and they also got to know my personality and who I was as a person. And I think this is really, really important. This is something that I used to teach inside my Momentum Marketing course. This is something that I'm bringing back to my new program. I'm going to teach a lot more about marketing because it's so powerful. Showing up as your authentic self. I know it's a buzzword, but it's freaking true. Buzzwords exist for a reason, people, right? If somebody doesn't know who you are at your core, they're less likely to be inclined to hire you. So Kelly and Glenn had heard me talk about process, and they could see and they could understand what it would look like to work with me. I remember them saying to me, we chose you also because you didn't paint this picture of rainbows and butterflies. It was clear that you were going to be honest and truthful with us as we moved through our renovation and let us know when things weren't going to go well. And you would give us sort of a better, more, what's the word? That you would be more transparent because of how you are. You're so real. And so that's the kind of marketing that works. It's not chasing everyone. It's just showing up as who you are and prioritizing what you value and showcasing how you run your business, because you want to attract clients who already know, like, and trust you, so that when they call you for that discovery call and you ask them, because you always ask them how they heard about you, because this is how we help inform our marketing. When you ask that question, they can say, not just, oh, someone gave me your name. No. They know of you. They maybe were connected through someone else because they need multiple touch points. Your thinking, your values, who you show up as, that is your marketing. And so we want to position ourselves in our marketing in a way that attracts that next level client. We want to attract the client who automatically trusts us. It makes our job so much easier. They're the ones who are going to be saying yes to your designs. They're the ones who are going to understand timelines. They're the ones who are not going to push back as much. They're the ones who are probably going to pay your fee without question. The more we can really hone in on what our value is and how we run our business, and then look at ways to share that. That is the marketing that works. It is grassroots. It is referral based. It is having those raving fan clients. Marketing needs to be paid attention to. And then the last thing I'll say about the marketing piece, the marketing pillar, is what happens to many of us, what happens to so many designers is this feast and famine, right? And oh my God, I remember having so many conversations with designer friends about this through the years, where oh my God, I'm so busy. I don't even know if I can handle this many projects, and I have to bring somebody else on, and you hire someone to help you, maybe just an admin or freelance to help you. And then the projects are going until they're not going so many. You wrap one up, and the next is just like, oh shit, where's my next project coming from? And it feels like, oh, there's this panic, even though you know. And if you've been doing this for several years, you know that more projects are going to come, but you still panic. You still have that feeling. And the problem is, what happens is we take our foot off the brake. We take our foot off the gas, the marketing gas pedal, when we're busy, because we're too busy, and we don't have enough help probably because we're so busy, but we don't hire the help because we don't know if we can financially keep them, because we haven't forecasted, and because we don't even know how to delegate. And can you see how all these pillars start to layer? And then we're like, oh, shoot, now we got to market. So we start marketing, and boom, we got lots of projects, and then we slow down on the marketing. That feast and famine doesn't need to be that way. And so this takes us to our fourth and final pillar, which is truthfully the one that most designers avoid until burnout forces the conversation. And this pillar is about hiring and delegation. This is about leadership. Yes, hiring, I know. And this is something that I like to call the moment you realize you can't do everything yourself, or even if you can, you don't want to, or you really shouldn't. You know, for a little while, I told myself I'd just do it faster. I just need to get more organized and better. I needed better checklists. Then when I hired two junior, I didn't really know how to onboard those people. I didn't really give them any training. I didn't show them how I work. They had no idea. They were trying to guess what I was thinking. I expected them to read my mind. And I did not know how to delegate properly. I would get so frustrated that they weren't doing a task fast enough or right. Or I'd be so stressed out about how many hours they were spending on a task because I'm paying them hourly, that I would just say, that's okay, you can wrap up and go home, I'll finish it. Or I would say, no, I'm just going to do it myself. Or I would hesitate to delegate something knowing that, well, I could just whip this one out real quick. How many of you have thought that before? Well, I can't. That word just is like an evil word in the English language. You guys have heard me talk about this here on the podcast before. When you use the word just, you are justifying something to yourself. That should be your red flag. Does any of this sound familiar? Come on, people. Whew. So what I realized in those early years of hiring and people leaving me and getting frustrated, and hiring didn't fail me. I failed to build that business that could support hiring. Leadership isn't about being controlling or micromanaging. It's about creating clarity. It's about leading with clarity. Knowing when you're ready to hire, knowing who to hire first, knowing how to step into the role of the business owner, not just being the designer, the principal designer, that is what is going to help you get time and ease into your life and build your business, build a stronger foundation. Because ease doesn't come from working harder, working longer hours, working more. It just doesn't. And hiring that junior employee because they're cheaper is actually going to cost you more money, time, and stress. It's not worth it. I'm not saying don't hire a junior. There is the right role for that person as long as you're set up to give them the step-by-step, the playbook, if you will. Leadership comes from not carrying everything alone. And that is that final pillar. And this is something that I want to talk a lot more about this year, because you don't need to be a large firm in order to hire. You do not need to be generating $250,000 or more in order to hire. I was probably making $60,000 a year, and I had part-time help. I did it very early on. I screwed it up. I was terrible at it. I made a freaking million mistakes that I cannot wait to share with all of you that are very tangible and specific. But I tried and I started to hire because I knew that if I was going to build something, I needed help. And for those of you who've been resisting this last fourth pillar, I get it. It's totally normal to, and you are not alone. I would say the majority of the designers who I have worked with over the last 5 years resist hiring help. When I look back, every major breakthrough in my business, it happened when I strengthened one of these 4 pillars. Process. Process gave me structure.
Yeah.
Profit and understanding my finances, it gave me confidence. Marketing and being intentional brought me aligned clients. And then really that leadership piece, which is really the one that I really have taken on kicking and screaming, I'm not going to lie, it has given me ease. And that's exactly how I've built my new program. The new program that we are launching is everything that you need to build a strong foundation. Everything we teach falls into these 4 pillars. And this is more than just process, which is why I am so excited to really dive in to a much deeper level of training with interior designers, because I can't wait to support you have the most success that you have had. So inside this new program, we're going to start with process because structure changes everything. Then we build pricing and profit clarity so that you know your freaking numbers, right? And I'm going to help you refine your marketing so that the right clients are finding you. And lastly, you are going to step into a leadership role where you can delegate so that you don't have to do it all alone. Because no one should have to build a business alone. Gosh, life can be so lonely, right? So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Which pillar feels strongest for you right now? And which one have you been quietly avoiding? I want you to sit with that. You know, your gut instinct knows. And if this episode sparked something for you, stay close. I'm going to be sharing more about my new program very soon. And if you want to get on the waitlist, just go to RebeccaHay.com/waitlist. You will be the first to be invited into the new program. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you next week.